Holy fucking cow, did I shit the bed with this one here. But anyway, Hasbro Marvel Legends Top 10 Action Figures of 2022. Finally coming at you with that video, that list, that ranking. Make this one real easy. How I did my picks this year or last year and this year or whatever I did here. Mostly based on new, unique sculpting, new accessories, stuff Marvel Legends Hasbro hasn't done prior or stuff that they have greatly improved on. And that's how I put together my lists. Also, as always, I had to have had the figure in hand. So some things didn't make the list because I didn't actually handle the figure or have it in my possession, in my collection before the list was compiled. But yeah, so with no further ado, let's get into it.
Yo. Yeah, I used to play the trap spot, propped on the block like I was part of the backdrop. Now it's scale props, effects and backdrops. The right lighting, you never catch me biting. Say you make it look so real when you post the figures fighting. I caught lightning, stuck it on the dial. F what you heard, let me tell you boys what I know. It's all facts, put displaying on the map. B, you better check my bio. No cap. My Scully and my T got my logo, whole fit, master kicks. I'm organic with the promo. I don't edit the pic, that's a no-no. And then lie about it like a bozo. I'm just one of the best, pound for pound, world renowned, recognized around the globe. Peter B and Miles in the picture perfect pose, and it's all tangible when the Sentinel explodes. Boom, I got that spark. My cutouts be sharp as my darts. Sit back, relax, it's about to start. Welcome to articulated comic book art.
Coming in at number 10 is the 20th anniversary Captain America figure, 20th anniversary of Marvel Legends to be clear, as he's an updated version of the 80th anniversary Captain America in terms of deco and accessories. This is a great buck for Cap, although I yearn for the day we get a Captain America figure with butterfly joints and toe joints, just for that added oomph needed for peak performance, agile, athletic, superhuman in figure form. Now, he's at the top of my list because there was no new, unique sculpting as far as the buck goes, but the lighter colored deco, the new accessories, and the two new head sculpts from Paul Harding made this the best Captain America from the Legends line, and therefore one of the best on the year. There was a higher price tag for the 20th anniversary of Marvel Legends releases, but it was well worth the cost here for everything you received packed in with Cap. This was Legends on their A game. My only gripe is that they needed to pack in two shields, one without the peg holes for the bullet effects, and that the comic-based Captain America shields are always too small. They did add in the shield straps, however, which was a nice touch. Honorable mentions at around the number 10 slot would be Sentry, which was a hell of an improvement on the older, oddly ill-proportioned Odin Thor Build-A-Figure version. Great dynamic head sculpt for Sentry, but no neutral head sculpt, and he too could have benefited from a buck with butterfly joints. All flyers should have butterfly joints. I'd also like to give an honorable mention or honorable nod to the retro carded Beast figure, which was a great improvement on the Caliban Build-A-Figure version, as we finally got a neutral head sculpt for Beast, solid redeco with his fur color, and the soft goods lab coat was the chef's kiss. I'd like to see Legends subtly dabble in more soft goods. Number 9 is going to be the Walmart exclusive Doctor Strange figure. Yeah, sue me. I'm a little biased when it comes to this figure, as I had the opportunity to unveil and review this figure first. Thank you, Hasbro. But this was our very first classic costume Doctor Strange from Hasbro. This was a long time coming. While he wasn't totally new in regards to the buck used, there was certainly enough new, unique sculpting here to suffice. The magical incantation effects we've seen numerous times were actually reinforced here, so they were less flimsy this time around. He had two sets of interchangeable hands, the axe of Angerumus, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and the rod thingy gave us some comic accurate nods to classic Doctor Strange storytelling, and not one but two interchangeable heads, which were both brand new unique sculpts from Paul Harding. One of the two head sculpts was sculpted with the eyes closed, and that is fire. This is how every single carded Marvel Legends figure should be packed. Kit bashing and swapping possibilities galore, and Strange in his classic costume was the last member needed to complete two major teams, the Illuminati and the classic Defenders. So here's hoping we get the figures needed to couple with Doctor Strange to complete our Bendis era New Avengers before the end of this year. Number 8 is going to be the Venom 3-pack Venom figure. Finally, a great comic-based Eddie Brock Venom. We've been salivating, waiting for Hasbro to update the Hasbro post-con cell-shaded Venom by removing that bullshit cell shading for almost a year. I think a lot of people were more eager to get a comic-based Venom on the Venom Pool Build-A-Figure Wave movie Venom Buck, myself included, but when I actually got this guy in hand, he quickly became my favorite comic-based Venom from Hasbro. Everything we've endured before this point, trying to get the perfect Venom in hand, including Kenkel Venom, was worth it considering we can utilize almost every previous head sculpt for this newer version, and they all look damn good and pop on the neck peg with no problem. So this makes for some cool kit bashes and swaps. Not a brand new sculpt, as this was the Sauron Build-A-Figure Wave Omega Red Buck originally, but the new heads and open hand sculpts made him unique enough in my opinion. He's the perfect 90s to early 2000s Venom, and swapping on the different previous head sculpts can represent different iterations of Venom from the comic books. The 3-pack in itself was a decent value, although the bucks utilized for the first 3 original symbiotes are outdated now. You were able to finally complete that team of 5 by picking up this set, rounding out that team with Riot and Agony. I feel like purchasing this set is almost worth it for Venom alone, but I wouldn't fret if you missed out. I know we will get a single retro carded version of Venom on this buck soon enough. 100%. Still one of the best here from 2022. Number 7 is going to be the 20th anniversary of Marvel Legends Toad figure. New, unique sculpting. First of all, we haven't had a Toad figure since the very first wave of Toy Biz Marvel Legends, and that was a Staction figure basically. We were long overdue for a classic, well-articulated Toad, and Hasbro absolutely delivered here. Again, there was a higher price point for this particular series of figures, but if you introduce a brand new buck and give us 2 heads, hands, and accessories, I'll allow it. I do think one more set of hands or some action accessories would have been nice, but they also included little backdrops with the 20th anniversary figures, which I forgot to mention when talking about Cap. With Toad, it's all about the articulation. Again, the original Marvel Legends Toad had like 5 points of articulation. This newer version really pushes the limits of what Legends can do if they just try. Fun figure. Toad's articulation, top tier, definitely one to own. Number 6 is going to be the MCU Peter Parker and Ned 2-pack. I'm counting this set as one release because it's my top 10 and I make the rules. I won't be doing a separate top 10 for just movie figures, and these 2 will be the only MCU-based figures to show up in this predominantly comic-based ranking, but this set is special. Again, 2 very unique brand new sculpts that open up numerous possibilities for reuse of these molds for comic-based versions of these characters, and countless kit bashes of plainclothed notable characters, or simply randoms or extras, if you will, for displaying. The sculpting on these 2 is some of Hasbro's very best work in my opinion. While the additional smiling head sculpt for Peter is just a tad bit off, both of his head sculpts are still extremely good, the neutral sculpt being spot on. They nail Ned's likeness as well. This set could have honestly been closer to the number 1 slot with more hands and an additional Ned head sculpt, but I suppose they sacrificed those things for the 2 knapsacks, which are also nicely sculpted and can be utilized in any number of unique ways with other figures. I do believe this set is one that you don't want to pass on, if only for kit bashing. Number 5 is going to be the Attuma Build-A-Figure Wave Black Panther. Another excellent use of the new Vulcan body for a classic, buff, properly proportioned, clean look for the King of Wakanda. This version trumps every other previous offering and should be the only buck utilized for this character moving forward. Of course, until something with better range comes along. Speaking of which, this buck has seen customizers and kit bashers make a few alterations that increase the range of motion on the butterfly joints and helps you really represent a superhumanly agile peak performance character in figure form. What was missing here was an unmasked head and one more set of hands, but we can fudge a couple of sculpts we've received prior for a decent T'Challa, i.e. the Black Shield agent and or Blue Marvel's head sculpt, which was missing the wingtips, by the way. So it works okay in this instance. This is the current definitive Black Panther you want in your collection. I'm looking forward to the inevitable redecos on this buck, all black, different highlights for the boots and gloves, and proper unmasked head sculpt that we will get at some point. Would highly recommend doing a little kit bashes to increase the range here. This joint was fire. Number 4 is going to be the retro carded Lizard figure. yet another truly unique, brand new sculpt. Listen, I'm a display artist. I read comics. I appreciate comic book artists and the writers who craft these stories that I draw inspiration from or try to directly replicate when setting up displays. And the thing about articulated comic book art is the more versions of characters, the better, as that variety acts to help you display based on different comic book eras and the different unique styles of comic book artists. Previously, we received a Lizard Build-A-Figure that depicted a more beefy, kind of hulking version of the Lizard, which was great for some modern style displays. However, the first and very early depictions of Lizard were a lot less muscular and rabid looking, and Legends did an excellent job modeling this figure after Lizard's original look. He's packed in with additional hands, an additional head, and beaker accessories that will help accent your displays for a legit lab scene. Again, I would have liked 3 sets of interchangeable hands for Lizard, but they really went above and beyond with the bendy wire tail. Truly one of Legends' best figures from Hasbro, one of the best on the year, one of their best period, I believe. Number 3 is going to be the Mojo World box set Mojo figure, the clearly better painted, more complete release of the 2 that were released. I don't even know why Hasbro released that single box generic version with hardly any paint detailing. That made absolutely no sense to me. Certainly the Mojo World box set version could have used more paint detailing itself, but it was still light years ahead of the generic single box release. Now, while this new, uniquely sculpted, properly sized Mojo definitely trumped the old Toy Biz Build-A-Figure, the old Toy Biz Build-A-Figure had great and possibly better paint apps overall. And I think that is how some older Toy Biz releases stay in the conversation. Where the newer Hasbro releases dominate is with putting together a more succinct, aesthetically pleasing line cast of characters that look great together and look like they actually go together. Toy Biz was kind of all over the place. But yeah, Mojo had a couple of interchangeable heads, couple of interchangeable hands. Again, one more set of hands would have been great. And while the tail did move and I appreciated it, I wish it had some break in the middle that would allow for a bit more articulation on the tail. But this was a fun figure that they could absolutely add on to in the future if they want to release some more heads and some more hands and do one more single deluxe release, since they like to do that. But the Mojo World box set version is the version to own. Definitely one of the best on the year here. Number 2 is going to be the Amazing Fantasy 15 Spider-Man figure. Now, as you all know, Spider-Man is my guy, and in some form of fashion, a Spider-Man figure makes the list every single year. It is what it is. This is absolutely the best Spider-Man figure in the Marvel Legends line, and the only feature this buck is missing is the toe joints. Once they update this buck with that feature, it will be the definitive Marvel Legends Spider-Man, no doubt about it. In fact, we've seen customizers already do this. This figure poses so nicely, has fun factor galore, and again, new, unique sculpting. This figure actually knocked out the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man figure from my list, which I also had the opportunity to unveil and review. And even with that opportunity, I think this is the better figure overall. So, I mean, the Renew Your Vows version is certainly an honorable mention here, as he did have the toe joints, but it's just something about the more slender, kind of sleek look of the Amazing Fantasy 15 buck, and just the way the joints glide, the way the figure moves, that for me personally gives it the edge over the Renew Your Vows version. Also, it should be noted that this same figure was re-released in the Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends 3-pack with, in my opinion, the better, more classic colored costume. So it's really that figure or that version that should be featured here, but I don't have that 3-pack in hand yet. But truth is, you shouldn't snooze on either version. The single carded version had 3 sets of interchangeable hands, including gripping hands for the web lines he came with, 2 sets of underarm webbing. Only thing that was missing was a new unmasked Peter Parker head sculpt, and I think that would have been the sweet spot I want all Legends offerings to represent. Still, for the price point, it was a solid release. Definitely one of the best on the year, and that's why he's number 2. And the number 1 slot for my top 10 Marvel Legends of 2022 is going to go to the HasLab Galactus. I saw a lot of people refraining from putting this in their top 10. I saw some people actually still include it in their their top 10. But listen, new, unique sculpting. The Sentinel I loved, even with the QC issues. No QC issues really for Galactus. Stands up on his own, fully articulated fingers, couple different face plates. The light up features work really well. Beautifully painted, sculpted, crafted. I have barely scratched the surface with the amount of displays and different things you can do with Galactus if you want to utilize him with other 6-inch figures, or with 3 3/4 inch, or with hero clicks, you know, doing MSD displays, whatever you want to do here. Sky's the limit. And this is Hasbro at their very best, showing you what can be done with the crowdfunding HasLab programs. I think this was well worth it for most collectors, and I think that was some of the distinction or some of the hang up with collectors in terms of this versus the EOV. I mean, you got 3 really good figures with Galactus, but you know, just counting Galactus alone by itself as a standalone huge Marvel Legends figure, the largest Marvel Legends figure we've ever received. So yeah, it's absolutely one of the best on the year, and can probably go into some top 10 category of the decade at some point as well. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Let's talk about it all in the comments below. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell down there. And until next time, peace.
I'm in the game, I'm grinding, I got to play 24 hours in a day, 7 days out the week, I never sleep. I'm on my grizzly bear, 52 weeks out the year, yeah.